Making sure. Okay. Can you see my screen, Alan?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for the introduction, Alan. So I own SKILS, and what SKILS is about. Let me introduce you to SKILS. First, our logo. So I often have questions what your logo means. Well, I have something for you.
Looks complicated.
Yeah, it's quite complicated, but it's what we are and what we do. And a little bit about our history. We did start in 23, and at that time, we wanted to do something different, something that nobody else does. What we can do to be different and a complement of the other organizations. So let's focus on intermediate to advanced paddlers and guide training and instructor training. So that was our niche. And lots of people said that would never work. That would never work. Well, 19 years later, it did work, and we love what we do. We are driven by passion. And also at the very beginning, 2003, kayaking was starting to become more mainstream. And also until recently, we had to train all the staff of MEC across the country. But now MEC has now changed. So we don't do that anymore. But that was a nice gig we had. It's something so cool to travel across the country, to meet lots of paddlers and to share with them. That was very exciting. Some of our important values: safety, and obviously that comes on the top of the list. And also we wanted to provide the highest quality of training and the best standards, the gold standard. And for that, we had to hire the best staff. We have 19 staff, including me and Justine. And to make sure we keep our staff for a very long time, we pay them the highest wages in the industry so they can earn a good living. Sadly, in that industry, lots of people cannot do a good living and there's lots of turnover, but we want to maintain our staff. We have lots of staff that have been with us since the very beginning, and we want to hold to them. And also, something that is very important to us is to give back to the community. Speaking commitment, volunteering for Paddle Canada or the SKGBC, and so many things. The thing I'm the most proud of about our community involvement is the outdoor leadership program we had with the Euclid High School, the local high school. Basically, every year we gave a lot of our time and at least $7,000 of our profit. So the kids, they do their Paddle level 1 and 2 skills, their SKGBC level 1 guide, wilderness first aid, VHF radio course, sub courses, surfing courses, hiking courses. And at the end of the program, we do trips like in the Brooking group, and they are in charge, weather, navigation, cooking, leadership, everything. And also the motivated kids at the end, they can find jobs for local companies in Tofino or Euclid to work as a guide. So when you're 16, 17, 18 years of age, it's a lot of responsibility and it's great. And it's nice to see these kids growing, building resiliency, strength, and developing their personality through that. So this is something I'm very proud of. And oh, just so you know, I don't know if you noticed, I have an accent. So I was not born in Ucluelet or on Vancouver Island. I was born in Quebec, and I moved here 21 years ago, and I'm still learning English. So if it's not clear, please stop me, and I will translate better for you. So one thing that is very important to us is to have courses that are fun. Kayaking is about having fun, freedom, and also we want to make sure people learn a lot. So we like to challenge them so it becomes really rewarding for them. And something that is key to us, it's innovating. Innovation is in our nature. I will give you some examples. And for example, we do lots of advanced expeditions for intermediate to advanced paddlers. Almost until recently, all the businesses were focusing on beginners. Personally, I don't like to paddle less than 3 knots. I get bored. So I want to be challenged. I want to be excited. I want real expeditions. So it's uh, my work feeds my soul so much. Also, we like to develop training manuals and books. And so this is something we have been doing since the very beginning. We are teaching across the country, coast to coast to coast, Arctic, East Coast, West Coast, prairies. We also do trips and courses in other countries like in the UK and also Patagonia, South Georgia, Antarctica. That photo is in Wales, where we do advanced courses in the currents. Way too much fun.
JF, I'll just take a second here. If you haven't got yourself muted, would you just take a minute to mute? Sometimes we're getting background noise and it's interfering with a little bit hearing JF's beautiful accent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. And also, we like to innovate. For example, a good part of the paddle curriculum, it's myself and other skills at staff that develop it at the very beginning, and we're still contributing. Also, the way we did innovate is developing, in fact, myself and Andrew Whitford, he's a former owner of SKILS with me. And one time at the Christie pubs, we were thinking about new ways to teach. And then after a few pictures at Christie pubs in Victoria, we developed the low impact activity guidelines. We wrote it on napkins at that pub. And then we shared this with our friends at the SKGBs, and then it became the low impact activity guidelines. I was younger at that time, so now I'm more mature. And also we developed over 12 years ago kayak fishing programs and courses and expeditions, and it's so much fun. When I teach that, I can't believe I'm being paid. I'm being paid to catch fish and share my passion with other people. It's way too much fun. And also one thing we like to innovate, it's about advanced courses. For example, our Skookumchuck course are very unique, and we are the only one in the world doing that there, among other things. So we like to do advanced courses that nobody else does. And also with the SKGBC, a good part of the curriculum and the exams were developed by myself and other skills at staff at SKILS. The next thing, well, believe it or not, at 6:55 today, probably 20 minutes ago, I just finished our online learning platform. So this is something you will hear very soon. You're the first people to hear about that outside of SKILS. We developed lots of online learning course about weather, navigation, sea state, and also so much of the courses we are doing, like paddle canoe level 1 to 4, can be front loaded to you before the course. So we have 14 courses that will become online in 2 weeks. So the next 2 weeks, myself and the staff will be testing that online platform for any glitches. But this is something I'm extremely excited about and is very unique. So you're the first one to know, and this is as fresh as it gets. So basically that summarizes a little bit about SKILS. So we like to innovate, and we love what we do. Now, Alan, is it okay if I move on to the main presentation now?
Well, let me just ask, and while I'm asking if people have questions, JF, if you can maximize the image in your screen, we'll probably get more of it. I think I'm seeing some of the around the sides of your screen. I don't know how you do that with what you do. But, and so does anybody have a question for JF about SKILS and what they're doing, either what they're doing in spring training or what they're doing as a company generally? Just go ahead, unmute yourself, ask your question. Okay, couple of minutes. No, you must have done a really good job of explaining.
Excellent.
Okay, so go right ahead with Antarctica and South Georgia.
Like I told you, folks, we do what we love. And I would like to share with you 2 expeditions we do with clients that it's amazing. So Antarctica and South Georgia. I'm having a little issue. This isn't the just. Sorry, folks. Okay. Sorry, folks. Okay, let's roll with the punches. So, so basically Antarctica. So Antarctica has the highest mass of ice in the world. It's quite fascinating, that continent. It's very, very rich with wildlife. What makes that continent very rich with wildlife is there's a circumpolar current around Antarctica that is very, very cold, between 1 and 3 degrees Celsius. And that current has lots of oxygen and nutrients for phytoplankton. Then the krill feed on phytoplankton, and there's lots of marine mammals and birds that feed on that. That makes the place very, very rich. Some crazy facts about Antarctica. Well, like the average ice sheet, it's 2,100 meters thick, the average ice sheet. And the places where the thickest, it's measured 4,800 meters. And that makes Antarctica the highest continent in the world with an average height of 2,800 meters. It's absolutely humongous. So much water, so much ice there. And is also the coldest place on the planet, even worse than Winnipeg, and with a record of minus 89 degrees Celsius. So with our expeditions, what we do, we leave from Ushuaia in Argentina, and then we use a sailboat to go to Antarctica. I will show you some photos soon, but that sailboat is 61 foot. We have 2 guides, 2 skippers, and 5 clients. And our clients, when we do trips in Antarctica, they must be real Paddle Canada level 3 skills paddlers or above. We want strong paddlers because we have to cover like 3 nautical miles, and we want very good paddlers. And so crossing Drag Passage can be quite something. If we have some sailors among the group, I'm sure we do. You probably heard about that. It's one of the roughest places in the world for crossing. It's not all the time rough. Sometimes it's like the Drake Lake, but we use that sailboat to cross there, and it's a beautiful part of the adventure. The crossing between Cape Horn to Antarctica is 1,000 kilometers. It takes a few days to cross there. And when we cross, we see lots of whales, albatross, dolphins, name it. And where we do focus in Antarctica, it's on the peninsula. And we try to go from north to south. We try to go as further south as possible based on the ice. There's lots of ice. And where usually we go around February. Why? Because it's the time of the year with the least amount of ice. So we can go further south. And our trips we do, they normally last around 30 days, 30 days. So many days of sailing, but mostly lots of kayaking. And we do camping as well. This is our sailboat and our crew. And we do watches. All the crew does a watch, they rotate. And if you want to drive the sailboat, yes, you can. There's also the automatic pilot. So challenge by choice. This is our sailboat. It looks small, but inside it's very cozy. And that boat is a former racing yacht. And that thing can go in very rough seas. So usually we start our trip, the northern part of Antarctica on Deception Island. This place is very unique. It's a volcanic island, and you can see the glacier that is covered with ashes. The last eruption was in 1972. And also that place is a former whaling station. You can go hiking there. There's a little of a hot spring as well. And many places in Antarctica, you can see remains of the old days of whaling. So the tanks you see there, is where they used to store the oil from the elephant seals, or whales. So much wildlife. It's just insane there. That day, we had to cross a small bay. It was very difficult because we had 30 whales, 30 different whales in that bay, and we had to zigzag through them. Plus, you have the dolphins, you have the seals. Antarctica alone has 75 millions of seals, many different species of seals, but 75 millions. And you have lots of penguins. So these are elephant seals. There's a few in Antarctica, not as much as South Georgia. And these are very fascinating critters. They can be up to 4 tons. They can dive up to 1,700 meters deep. And they feed mostly on squids. They are massive. We like to do camping. We don't camp all the time. It depends of the mood of the clients, and also the when it's nice, we like to camp. When it's not nice, we like to stay on the boat where it's very cozy. And sometimes some people will prefer to stay on the boat overnight, while some will go camping. So it's challenge by choice. So this is our tent, and we have a nice ocean view. And behind Justine, my partner, there's 2 leopard seals. Leopard seals, they eat penguins and they eat other seals. They have like a snake-like face with huge teeth. I remember that night, that was very cool. And we camped, and during the night, we had lots of noise about iceberg rolling, glacier calving, even avalanches. And when we woke up in the morning, all the iceberg left the bay. It was fascinating to see all the drastic changes. So this is a little video. These are king penguin. These are the second largest type of penguin in Antarctica. They are up to 45 pounds and 3 feet tall. I find them the most beautiful type of penguin. They are very colorful. I'll show you a bunch of photos of Antarctica. And this is around midnight. And a photo is worth 1,000 words. So I won't talk much now. Sometimes the ice is quite thick, and we like to go in places where nobody else goes. And sometimes we use the first guide in the front is the icebreaker, and we do a line, so we follow the same channel. The nice thing with the paddlers we have, because they are such experienced paddlers, we go in places that nobody goes. Usually paddlers in Antarctica, they come from the big cruise ship, and they do a 2-hour tour, and then they go back to their cruise ship, and they go in places where it's very sheltered and it's very populated with other cruise ship. We like to go where we see no humans. No humans is good. Iceberg. Well, iceberg, they come all types of shape and size. It's amazing to see them. And also sometimes you see them rolling. They are being they change their shape with the wind and also the waves. So it's really stunning to see all the iceberg over there.
JF, somebody's asked, how many good weather days do you have versus bad weather generally down there?
You know what? It depends. But this is the summer in Antarctica. And usually it's quite nice. It's very nice. The water, the temperature, the air temperature will be fluctuating. All the days I spent there, I saw like from between 18 degrees Celsius to minus 15 degrees Celsius. But usually it's quite nice. It's very decent. South Georgia, however, is something different. The winds in Antarctica on the peninsula are not too crazy. And often when it's quite windy, we use the lee of some of the bigger islands. Any counter question about the weather?
When can we book and what does it cost to go?
Well, the price will depend of the year. So because of COVID, our expeditions were canceled. In fact, one of your member, Elizabeth Purton, was supposed to come with us, but we canceled it because of COVID. So next year we are going, and we have the dates for the 2023, I think, already. It's not online yet. And the price, I forgot the price, but it's around $19,000 Canadian. To be honest with you, Justine focused on the Antarctica trip for the bookings and all that. I'm hands off, but it's around 19,000 Canadian. And let me tell you, it's very good value. Usually, if you go on that trip in Antarctica on a big cruise ship with hundreds and hundreds of other people, it will cost you minimum $1,000 per day. With us, it's much less than that. Plus, you eat really well, amazing food. We have also, some people will like it, not my taste, but we have lots of alcohol on board, wine, gin tonic, beer, and yeah, you eat really well. You can drink all you want. And also, it's very personal. 2 guides, 5 clients, and 2 skippers. And it's very unique. And again, you don't paddle with numpties. You paddle with experienced paddlers of the same caliber than you. Questions? Nope. I will keep going. This is Iceberg Graveyard. That location, the bottom is very shallow, and the iceberg gets stuck on the shallows. Remember, the iceberg, what you can see, it's only 20% of the size of the iceberg. So this is a graveyard. At one point, being stuck to the bottom creates lots of stress, and the iceberg will break. One thing I love of Antarctica is a symphony of the sound. For example, there's lots of avalanches. There's lots of iceberg rolling, lots of glacier calving. And all these bergy bits you see, they have pocket of air. And when they explode, they are like Rice Krispies. It's very cool to hear when you paddle near these bergy bits. Plus, you add the sound of the penguin, the well below, your senses are being excited all the time. The air quality is amazing and can see so far away. Remember, it's the highest continent on the planet, and you can see mountains that are really, really far away. So as soon as you stop paddling, it gets really cold. So this is why we have the storm cag with us, which is very useful. These are they are crab-eater seals. This is a cormorant, different than the cormorant we have in Victoria. I will be honest with you, every corner I turn in Antarctica or South Georgia, it's always wow, wow, wow. You cannot be bored by the landscape, by what you see. It's so dramatic, so makes you feel very humble. Just so you know, the guidelines for wildlife over there is very different. In Antarctica and South Georgia, the guidelines to stay away from marine mammals or penguin is 5 meters. 5 meters. So the thing is, you're not allowed to touch the penguin, but they are not scared by you. And if you stay low, they will come close to you. But the thing is, you give them room, and if they come close to you, it's fine. But again, the guidelines for marine mammals on land or penguins on land, it's 5 meters. With my clients, I remain 100 meters from whales for safety reason. There's lots of them, and they tend to breach a lot.
Somebody's asking the average water temperature. Is it when you're down there? Is it, I guess, just above freezing, or how cold is it?
Yes, during the summer, It's a whopping 1 to 3 degrees Celsius.
Oh.
It's very cold. And this is why the wildlife is so rich. Lots of oxygen, lots of phytoplankton, lots of krills that feed on the phytoplankton. And when you sail, when you are down below the 40th parallel, it's like turning a switch. The waters get really, really cold. And yeah, so sometimes you can have an 18 degree Celsius day in Antarctica, but the water is really cold. So uh, we suggest not to capsize, but we are prepared if someone capsized. Yes, it did happen in the past. And some people, they like to do at least one roll in Antarctica. For some people, it's very important, but it's cold. It's not a joke. Questions? And please, Alan, stop me anytime.
Yes, a question. I'm getting them on chat, which is fine. You can send them to me. I'll relay them. Do you do backcountry skiing when you're down there?
No, we don't. It's rare. People do cross country. A friend of mine did an from UCLA did an expedition of ski touring last year in Antarctica, ski touring. But this is rare. Most of the people going in Antarctica on big cruise ship and with activities like on the Zodiac or Numpty tour, 2 hours around the cruise ship. But ski touring is quite uncommon. But if you want to do ski touring, send me an email. I will put you in contact with my friend that does ski touring there. These are Adelie penguin. They are the smallest, up to 11 pounds and 2 feet tall. Oh, and they have blue eyes. They're really cute. So another picture. On that photo, we look very close to the glacier, but in fact, we are very far away. Everything is so big over there. So the guidelines is to stay at least 200 meters from a glacier, at least 200 meters. So in that photo, we are at least 200 meters. And if the glacier is active, the guideline is to stay 400 meters away from it. Why? Ice can be detached and fall on you, or glacier can calve and make huge wave. And also, if the glacier is calving, sometimes the ice goes down in the water and pop much further, like 50 meters further. So we need to keep our distances. So that photo, it seems we're so close, but we are very far, in fact. Whalebones. And on our trip also, we like to explore the land. So sometimes we land and we go for a hike. So no, this Gen 2 penguin, no, is not eating a chick, is the way they feed each other. So penguin, they feed on krill, like shrimp. And then when they go to see their chick, they are regurgitating the digested shrimp to the chicks. This one has 2 chicks, which is very uncommon. Usually you have 1 chick only. And penguin, they are way ahead of us humans. So the male and the female take care of the kids and to go fishing, and they rotate. They share the task. On this photo was not photoshopped. This is a real color of the iceberg. Even some iceberg, because of plankton, they can be green. So this is a very bright blue one, but some will be green. Oh boy, that ugly bird is called a sheepbill. It's very unique. That bird feed mostly on feces of the penguin. When penguin eat krill, it will not digest fully the krill. And what happened, the sheepbill, when the penguin put the non-fully digested krill, the sheepbill will go to grab that food, that poo, eat it, and also sometimes we'll bring it to their chicks. Probably this is why it looks so ugly, but it's well adapted to their environment. So feeding on poop.
There's another question for you about the trips, I guess, JF, had come up. What equipment would you provide for people who are going down? I guess the kayaks.
Yeah, we provide absolutely the kayaks, paddles, spray skirt. We have a few dry suit as well. Yeah, we have booties, we have gloves. Yeah, we provide paddles, but most everybody, they like to bring a nice fancy Warner or fancy Greenland paddle. So yeah, we provide everything you need for paddling. And the kayaks we are using are Epsilons from Boral Design, and they are plastic. Plastic is fantastic. Why we do that is because of the ice. Sometimes we have to use it as an icebreaker, and also crossing Drake Passage, where you're in big waves. It's very dynamic. Composite kayaks would break. We use strong plastic kayaks. It does resist the impact of Drake Passage. Any follow-up question, Alan?
No, not so far. I'll interrupt you if there's another one. Go ahead.
Sounds good. I have here a little video for your enjoyment.
Wow. That's pretty amazing. I have a question.
Yeah.
The animals all seem to like stay nearby. They aren't too worried about people?
No, no. Absolutely no fear of towards human. So what will eat penguin? There's leopard seal, that massive seal that weigh 1 ton with a snake head with huge teeth. Also, some skruas. They are like, imagine a gigantic seagull that is evil that would eat chicks and eggs. Yeah, so basically, they are not afraid by humans at all. You can go to a few meters on the FN seals or seals, no problem. We try not to distract them, but they have no fear. We
And
don't
then,
kill them anymore.
Somebody's wondering if you were to camp, do you supply the tents, I guess, or?
We have tents.
Yeah.
Usually people, they like to bring their own stuff. And if people they want to travel light, no problem. We're providing the tent. We have all the camping equipment, the stoves. Yeah, so people can travel light on the plane. So yeah.
And how do you keep your hands functioning in that kind of cold?
So many different techniques. Well, we all know puggies or thick paddling glove. I like to use dishwashing gloves that are insulated,
Mm.
that are quite long. I like them the best. The thick. In fact, I use that to. Uh, so these gloves, the people on the uh, food fish processing plant, they use that. They are very thick plastic gloves, insulated. They are fantastic to paddling down there. Some people are more sensitive than others, and also one time we had someone that has Raynaud syndrome, quite bad, but that person wanted to come to South Georgia badly, so the doctor prescribed a special pill if you have a Raynaud syndrome, and that person was fine the entire trip.
Mm.
So there's many techniques to use, and if you're very prone to cold, to have normal gloves, then on top the fish plant waterproof and insulated gloves would be fine.
Okay. And does it get dark when you're there? Or is it light most of the time? It's in the summer.
Mostly light. It depends what time of the year.
Mhm.
So if closer you are from December 21st, more light. You will have very likely all bright all night around the December 21st. But if you go in March or February, it's going to be different. It depends what time of the year you go, but even in February at 10 o'clock, it's bright.
Hmm. Great. Okay, thanks. I think there's maybe one more here. Oh, how many times have you done this?
A few, and I want to do it almost every year.
Oh,
Not every year, but most year I want to do it. It's so much fun. Uh, so yeah, so there's so many things Justin and I want to do, but we do what we love, and why not? So that was Antarctica. Now South Georgia. The presentation is not over, folks. I think the best is to come. So South Georgia, not many people know about that. People know Georgia in the U.S., but South Georgia is very unique. It was discovered by Captain Cook, the same Jew that rediscovered BC, the first one of the first European to come in BC after Juan Perez. So South Georgia was named after the King George of England, and that place is very unique. This is the place on the planet with the highest concentration of wildlife. There's nowhere else on the planet that has the highest concentration of wildlife. That South Georgia is around 200K long and 30K wide. And this island alone has 165 glacier. This is a British territory, but you look at the name, you don't look very British. No, you're right. So it was a British possession, but the people that went to inhabit that place back in the days were mostly Norwegian because they were good sealers as well, good whalers. So we start our trip in the Falklands Island. Just the Falkland by itself, it's a very cool place to visit. They even have penguins there. Many of you know the Falklands Island because of the war of 1982 between the UK and Argentina. In fact, the Falkland War started in South Georgia when the Argentinian invaded South Georgia. So we take our sailboat from South Georgia, from the Falklands to South Georgia. We are sailing around 1,100 kilometers. So it's quite a long crossing. And South Georgia is one of the most remote place on the planet. And I will say one of the harshest, but so wild, so beautiful at the same time. So as you can see on the screen, we go from the Falkland to South Georgia. So 1,100,000 K. So this is our sailboat with our plastic kayaks on the deck. and we are ready to go. And also, if you want, you can sail the boat yourself under supervision. So challenge by choice. That was Carrie, a client we had years ago. She never piloted a boat before. That was her first time. So that she was very excited. She did a great job. And we go through different types of weather. That was cold that day. And then we see South Georgia. That is very dramatic. Most of South Georgia is covered by ice and snow, but the thing is, in many places, it's so steep, the snow cannot get stuck because it's very, very steep. Sometimes I don't talk. I just want to let you enjoy the scenery. Okay, this is a first seal. Many of you know, you will say, no, it's not a seal because of the flippers. It looks more like a sea lions. You're correct. But the name is for seal, but it's in fact a sea lions. And these guys were hunted to extinction. So around 1780, because of the Captain Cook account that says that place has lots of fur seals and elephant seals. So people in Europe and the US said, oh, really? Because the population of seal was decimated in Europe and the US. So, hey, let's go down South Georgia to kill a bunch. So they did a great job of killing them all. And by 1900, it was extinct. And officially hunting ceased around 1960. And what happened when hunting of fur seals stopped? What happened? The population did rebound. They went from extinction to now over 6 million fur seal. In fact, South Georgia has something like way over 85%, I think 85 or 98% of the fur seal population on the planet. Don't quote me on that, but it's a huge number. So now the number have rebounded so much that after October, you cannot land on beaches because there's too many of them. And what happened in November and the months after that is breeding season. So the beaches are covered with fur seals and they are aggressive towards human if you come too close to their RM. So we do our trip there in October for a few reasons. We can land on beaches because there's not too many fur seal, and also is the breeding season of the elephant seals, and that is really spectacular. So fur seal, that little bugger. And these guys, the fur seal, they can climb very high. It's very surprising. You see a pinniped on land, they look very clumsy, but these guys did climb at least 200 meters high on these tussock grass. In South Georgia, there's more vegetation than in Antarctica. The main vegetation in South Georgia, tussock grass, what you can see on your screen. Well, Antarctica, it's much cooler and has only lichens and moss. And when it's breeding season, November onward, everywhere where they can climb is covered with fur seal. Lots of icebergs, all shapes and size. That photo was not photoshopped. This is a fjord in South Georgia where the watercolor was just stunning. This is us having a lunch, and we use a vertebrae of a whale as a table. So this is like typical South Georgia furniture. These are cormorants. And penguins can climb very, very high. And sometimes their colony will be miles away from the sea, which to me doesn't make sense. I want to be efficient, but they have the colony very high in the mountains, and then they go down to feed on the sea. They are very clumsy, these penguins, but they have so much determination to go up and down the hills. Like, that's impressive. And these, again, are king penguins. You cannot touch penguins, but I heard of a story of Japanese people putting leash around their neck and using them like dogs over there, which is illegal. In Antarctica, uh, the regulations are made by consensus. There's the Antarctica Treaty, and that regulate everything you can do or not. Basically, Antarctica, it's only meant for peaceful activities and scientific research. South Georgia is different because it's a British territory. It's very well managed. These are Gen 2 penguins with the red beak. Very beautiful. And this is the time of the year. That was October when they have their eggs and they keep it between their legs. And they make nests with twigs they find as well as some little pebbles. And they turn that egg. And again, male and female will be rotating. Who takes care of the egg and who goes fishing? Okay, elephant seals. These guys that can dive up to 1,700 meter deep. They are massive. So on the right, you can see a bull. The bull can be up to 4 tons. And on the left, there's the female that can be up to 1 ton. And on the very left of the female, you can see a little bit of a little baby. And so in October in South Georgia, it's breeding season. The female are landing there with the male, and the female, they land, they give birth. And as soon as they give birth, the male are after them to reproduce with them. And the male or fight with other male to protect their harem. And some harem of elephant seal bull can have hundreds of females. And the fights are very spectacular. I was dreaming to see fights the first time I went there. And I will show you soon the first fight I've seen of bull fighting. This is a female elephant seal. The female doesn't have a big snout. It's quite more like a sea lion, if you want. And what they do right now, they are throwing some gravel and sand on top of them to protect their skin against the sun. So basically, it's like putting some sunscreen on, what they are doing right now. This is elephant seal surrounded with a bunch of penguins. This is a male, a baby. They are very cute. So these are the skuas, like the evil giant seagulls. And these are looking for any source of food. They will kill baby penguin. They will kill the eggs. If you leave sometimes your baby with no protection, they will kill it. And also, as soon as the female pop a baby, the squirrels will rush to eat the placenta of the baby. And I'm sorry to be rude, but to extract the rest of the placenta out of the mom. And it's gruesome to see, but for them, the placenta is very rich in nutrients. Bulls fighting. Imagine a 4-ton animal fighting a 4-ton animal. It's very violent, and their vocalization and the noise they're making is very impressive. I will show you a video. This is the first time I saw a fight. I was over the moon.
Oh my God, my dream. My dream.
One more video. So they fight a lot during breeding season. So the beach master, like I told you, can have hundreds of female under his control, and he needs to protect these female against other male, and fights will ensue. Sometimes the beach master will make lots of vocalization strong enough to scare other contender away, but sometimes the fight is on, and fights leave big marks. You can see that bull had a tough life with lots of scars. This is a RM, and the beach master is like on the center of the photo. And when other males are approaching, that bull would be making vocalization. And sometimes, if the bull is not retreating, the beach master is going to charge. And in the process, often babies get crushed, sadly. So the male is 4 tons, the female is 1 ton. And when the male decides, okay, it's time to make babies, the female doesn't have much say doesn't have much say in that discussion. It's quite there's no much romance involved. Camping, it's very unique. Camping there, so we get together, and of course this is before COVID, so we are close to each other, and it's great, and we can go explore the land, and we attach the tents to the kayaks. One night we had winds of 50 knots. It was quite impressive. And when we camp, we try to stay away from elephant seal. In the background, that photo is elephant seals very, very far away. And one time we went 400 meters away from the beach. And when we woke up, one of the clients had an elephant seal by its tent. And I didn't like it. So I went to try to ace that animal using technique I would normally use with wolf or bears. It did not work out really well. But I learned a trick. They are afraid by like tent or torps flapping in the wind. So it's quite big and make lots of noise. I'm not used to that. So this is the one thing I found that scares them, using a torp or a tent flapping in the wind.
JF, somebody's asking here, can you have fires? I mean, can you make a fire? Is there any firewood?
No firewood at all.
Right.
So no, it's we cannot, and also we cannot bring wood from another location because of biosecurity. Right. I can go more and more. The thing is, the British government spent millions of dollars to eradicate rodents, eradicate reindeer, any invasive plant species. And before we go to South Georgia, we need to pass a biosecurity test. They would check all your clothing, the bag, the bottom of your bag, the soles of your boots for any piece of dirt and pebbles you may have, because you don't want any foreign plants or any invasive or anything being introduced again on South Georgia. And also when we leave the boat in Antarctica and South Georgia, we have to do a biosecurity bath. So basically our boots has to be disinfected so we don't do cross-contamination. Sadly, for example, we cannot bring chicken to South Georgia because at one point, some people doing an expedition left some chicken, the penguin ate the chicken, and disease spread and mass mortality. So I'm showing you the nice side, but also there's some safety rules I'm not sharing with you because they are boring. But South Georgia, they have the strictest biosecurity rule you can imagine in the world. Even like a few mil pebble, you fail your biosecurity check.
Somebody's wondering if those are Hilleborg tents that you have there.
Yes. In fact, if I look at that photo, they are all Hilleberg tent, and they're great. A story on South Georgia one time, we had 15-knot winds, and the Hilleberg tent did really well, but the MSR tents, which are very good, they did not do really well, and the powder, the fine particle of snow went inside the tent of the clients, and we had to, everybody with Hilleberg tent had to take other members of the expedition in their tent because the tent was inundated by snow. That was interesting.
Wow.
We talk about 50-knot wind that is blowing snow. It's quite something.
And so is the temperature at night very low then?
It depends on the season. We are during the beginning of the summer, and it can be quite cold. I think South Georgia, the coldest I've seen was -18, but usually it's quite decent. It's in the minus, but very, very, it's not Winnipeg. It's much nicer than Winnipeg in terms of temperature. Usually at night it's probably -5 during the summer. It's very civilized. And we want to have fun. We don't go there to suffer. It's about having fun. And also, if people don't like the cold, they just stay on the boat by the fireplace, having a hot shower. So challenge by choice. One thing I didn't mention, and South Georgia, it's wild, it's beautiful, and the wind are quite something. Often the forecast is for 15 knots wind, 1-5, but often it turned out to be 20 knots, 25 knots. One time, you need to check the wind direction, the wind speed. You have to check the top of the mountains all the time for katabatic wind, especially the woolly walk. The woolly walk is a type of katabatic wind. And when you see the wind on top of the mountains, and you have 20 to 30 minutes to go to shelter because the wind will pick up with a vengeance, but a huge vengeance. One time, beautiful day, at one point we see some woolly wall wind starting, and probably 45 minutes later, we had 67 knots wind. So that was just insane. 67 knot wind on a forecast of 1-5. So you need to be on top of your game when you go there. And on that, in South Georgia, I need to use all the tricks in the guidebook for guiding. It's challenging, but absolutely stunning. We only take for South Georgia the equivalent of a very strong level 3 skills paddler with Paddle Canada or above. It's way more challenging than Antarctica. Often it's 15-knot winds. We go paddling because it won't get better. And so people know about that and they like it. We try to take some sheltered route, but people, if they go to South Georgia, they must be ready to paddle in rougher conditions. It's not all the time rough, but it can happen. So yeah, wind is quite something. And as a guide, I've been guiding since '98. South Georgia, there's no other places in the world that has challenged me like South Georgia in terms of risk management and decision making to keep my people safe and happy. Things worked out really well, but it was a challenge on the guiding side, but such a beautiful place. So this is sometimes it is very windy during the night. And some places you will have 100,000 penguins. I think this is St. Andrews. So penguins as far as you can see. So the fluffy ones are the chicks, and the nice colored penguin are the adult. So it's like finding Charlie. Waldo, sorry, finding Waldo. So basically, the adult are going fishing, and when they come back, they have to find their chick, and there's tens of thousands of chicks. So how they find their chick is by vocalization. So basically, the parents is making vocalizations, and then the chicks makes the same vocalizations, so they can recognize each other. But there's some chicks that are very, very smart, and they will try to imitate the wrong vocalization to get more food from parents that are not their parents. This is a Weddle seal. There's many types of seals in South Georgia and Antarctica. You don't see Weddle seal very often, but I'm just amazed how fat the Weddle seal is. It's like a huge torpedo. I can't believe they can move on land. They have tiny flippers and they are so fat. That seal looks very happy. This is a wandering albatross. South Georgia, again, is a tiny place of 200K long by 30K wide, has the highest concentration of wandering albatross in the world. They have 8,600 breeding couple there. And these birds are massive. With the wingspan, they can be up 13 feet wide, 13 feet wide. In terms of length, they are up to 135 centimeters. They are massive birds. The wingspan is so big, they can spend hours in the sky without flapping their wings, just using the thermals and drifting. They are absolutely fascinating birds. Massive, agile, gracious, name it. And when we were sailing in Drake Passage, we saw lots of them uh, fl- uh, flying. They are stunning. This is a Justine versus the Albatross. You can see the size. This is a museum in Grytviken. I will come to that soon. So the capital of South Georgia is Grytviken, population of 12 people during the summer and around 5 to 7 during the winter. And so they are mostly scientists, but also people that take care of the beautiful museum there. And so South Georgia, believe it or not, whaling started around 1906 until 1965. And during 60 years, 60 years, they killed around 175,000 whales, 175,000 whales during 60 years. And that was the highest concentration of whales in the world. Now the stock are around 10% of what they used to be. And lots of whaling stations were established in places. In one bay, they established Great Viken Whaling Station. And for the first 2 years of operation, they only killed the whales in that tiny bay. The bay was so full of whales, they just kill it, bring it to the shore, and then process it. This is a typical whaling boat. You can see a harpoon on the front. And if you look at the top of the mast, it's very high. But one crew member was in that bucket, spotting for whale below. Then was telling the captain to go right or left. So yeah, look at the mast on the top. A human used to climb there to spot the whale. Not everybody will like it, and good place to be seasick. This is the harpoon at the front. These are harpoon heads, different types of shapes, and many of them had explosive inside. In fact, all these harpoon heads, many of them were also used in BC back in the whaling days. For example, near my place, at the Sea Shark whaling station, near the Brocken Group, if you go there at low tide, you'll find a lots of harpoon heads that look exactly the same than the one you can see on the photo. on that beach. It's at Grytviken, the capital of South Georgia. There's lots of discarded harpoon heads. This is a saw they were using to process the whale. So basically, they chopped the whale and they were boiling it to extract the oil. As well, they were using the meat to eat or to make animal feed with. And a whale is massive, as we know. Blue whale can be over 120 tons, for example. And they brought whale to shore. They were winched on a platform, then they were flensed and then chopped, and then the pieces were discarded to be boiled. And I have a question for you folks. Guess how long it took to process one whale in average in Grytviken or elsewhere in South Georgia? How long it took to completely flens it and process it? I will tell you the answer. It took 20 minutes, 20 minutes to flens the fat and cut the bones and the meat. Then they put these pieces in boiler so they extract the oil out of it. So 20 minutes. Even if we are against whaling, it's quite fascinating how efficient they were. It was a hard labor, dangerous job. These people, they were working extremely hard. It's I have no words to qualify that. So this is Grytviken. This is the tourist part, if you want, the non-habited part. So on the left is a church. There's some building that were refurbished. You can see the tanks where they were storing the oil. You can see the dock. And on the far right, there's the museum and the post office. Further, like 20 minutes walk away, is the real village where the research station is, where the people live. Now there's a Coast Guard boat there, the Pharaoh that ensured people are following fishing regulations. Fishing is very productive around this place. So it's so windy in South Georgia. I was not lying to you. This is an example of how windy that is. To make sure the house doesn't get blown away or destroyed by the wind, this is what they do to reinforce structure. We don't have this in the BC building code, but they do that. They do that in South Georgia because winds is just insane.
So there was a question earlier about the winds and what you do to keep the tents from blowing away.
Absolutely. We try to find a location that is sheltered from the wind, ideally. Sometimes it's not possible. So we use snow picket, we use kayaks, and also it's better to have a long and narrow tent, so it's less exposure to the prevailing direction of the wind. But sometimes it's very hard to find a sheltered place, but we try to do our best. And also we have to take into consideration to be far enough from the elephant seals so your tent doesn't get crushed during the night with you inside. This is the grave of Sir Ernest Henry Shackleton. You probably heard the history of deliverance or the story of Ernest Shackleton. If you only heard a little bit or not much, I highly recommend to watch a movie on the BBC movie about Ernest Shackleton. This is probably one of the biggest, in my humble opinion, the most amazing story of survival and human will. I won't tell you the story tonight. You probably heard about it, but that story, it's so powerful. So this is where his grave is, in South Georgia. This is a leak whaling station. It's run down. It wasn't in operation until the 60s. On the left, you can see a soccer goal. So this is a way the people could keep their spirit high, away from the family. and they were doing very hard labor. So yeah, they were playing soccer. This is the part of the soccer field. Uh, Again, another whaling station was abandoned. In Antarctica and mostly in South Georgia, there's some refuge. This is on a former whaling station. It's a house. Inside that house, you have food, you have survival equipment, you have a stove, fuel. In case people get stuck, stranded, they have some issues, you can go there. Sometimes we went inside this refuge to have lunch, so it's warmer. And there's also in all these refuges, for some reason, there's a very substantial library, and they have beds, but it's only a few places. And in Antarctica and South Georgia, you are your own coast guard. If the shit hit the fan, you can really rely on other people. You have to rely on your sailboat if they can make it there, but you have to be very cautious. The safety net is not as strong as if you were in the gorge in Victoria with other resources available. This is the boat of Ernest Shackleton. I won't tell the story because I've been blabbering a lot tonight. I tell a quote for you folks. I have lots of respect for Captain Cook, but on this one, I have to disagree with him. The wildlife, the scenery is so dramatic. It's so beautiful, and it's one of the best preserved places on the planet, Antarctica and South Georgia. And that's yeah, it's hard to describe in words. So what's next? Well, we'll keep doing trips over there, South Georgia and Antarctica. And also we'll be doing trips in remote fjords in Patagonia using the same yacht we were using in these polar expeditions. Why? Because we want to go in Patagonia where nobody goes. Some deep fjords where there's often no place to camp. It's too steep. So we can explore further and with that yacht as a home base. So this is one of the next thing we'll be doing. Again, innovating, doing something that nobody does.
So Jeff, before you finish up here, there are a couple of questions have come up about the sailing. So with the wind being so unpredictable, somebody asked, how do you plan your sail crossings? And somebody else wondered, do you have to motor more than sail? How do you make your way across? We know it's extremely rough water in that area.
Yes, absolutely. This is a very good question. Probably came from a sailor. So basically, we look at the weather map to see what is the best course to take. How should we aim south or north? How can we dodge the weather system? How can we use a maximum, as much as possible, the most favorable wind in our favor? So we look at the weather map, and it's possible sometimes we'll be delaying the departure by a few hours, but usually it works quite well. Sometimes there's no wind. We have to use the motor and just to go 5 knots. It sucks, but it's nature. But sometimes we have good winds, and sometimes it's rough, sometimes it's calm. There's over like 4 days of crossing, you will have a wide array of different type of conditions and wind speed.
So there's more questions about that, I guess. How many bathrooms would you have, since they may get used quite a bit on the sailboat? And how long does it take to get across? I guess you mentioned 4 days. How do you heat it? Or do you have heat in the sailboat? What make is it? Lots of questions about your boat.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. First, yes, there's one bathroom, and I clean it every day. And also, we can always use the deck for a quick number one. And okay, this is the first question about the bathroom. And what is the other question, Alan?
Oh, it was about would there be any heat on the sailboat, or a source of heat, I guess.
Yes, we have 2 heaters.
Okay.
We have 2 heaters, plus also the stove is making a lots of heat as well. So 2 heaters, it's quite warm. If we want to be warm, yeah, it's very cozy inside.
And what make is it? I don't know whether that's important, but do you know?
If you go to the SKILS website and you follow the links, you will have the answer to your question. But it's a former racing boat. And the nice thing is, it's a former racing boat. And usually there's a few yacht doing trips in Antarctica, but only one doing the kayaking, and it's us. And our yacht is very fast. It usually is the fastest across Drake Passage because of the shape, and it's made for racing. So I'm not very knowledgeable about boat design. If you send me an email, I will do some research and get back to you. And usually, crossing Drake Passage will take 4 days. If the winds are very good in our favor, less than that, but usually 4 days.
Do many people get seasick on the way?
Yeah, it does happen. So doing prevention, if people are prone to be seasick, taking some drugs, the sometimes the people are seasick, absolutely. So if they are seasick, they don't do watches. But yeah, we recommend if you're prone to be seasick, see your doctor, take the proper drugs, and ahead of time. And yeah, there's lots of prevention you can do, but some people are very sensitive to that. It's not fun when people are seasick because it's very debilitating. It's a drawback of the expedition. Sometimes it's very flat. Sometimes it can be quite rough.
Okay, and JF, you're showing your logo again, and I think earlier you had another view of this, and you explained what it was about.
Yeah.
So somebody else has just asked, could you put that slide back up? I suppose they're trying to piece together yeah, there it is. Okay. So the various elements of your activities are all contained in your logo then?
That's correct. It's a logo. Before we used to be 4 owners of SKILS. Now I'm only 1 owner. The rest of the former owners are now staff and working part-time. And we put lots of thoughts in designing that logo. Lots of thoughts. That is something very meaningful. That is us.
Question about how long does it take to launch or land your kayaks, paddlers? When you leave the ship in kayaks, does it take a while to get out and back?
I would say probably 20-ish minutes when people get used to it. So basically, there's many ways we can launch, but usually what I'm going to do when people are eating, I will put the boat in the water by myself. And then one at a time, we can do that 2 at a time, or sometimes 1 at a time. They go on the back deck, they climb on their kayak, and then that's it. And some people, they are more like ninja, very agile, and they won't use the back deck. They will just climb on from the railing of the boat right into the kayak. Challenge by choice again.
Okay. Has anybody else got a question out there? You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask it, I think, rather than chatting it if you want. That was quite a presentation. I'm blown away by South Georgia and Antarctica myself.
I missed the very start. So how many passengers are on board?
So 5 clients, 2 guides, and 2 skippers. Total of 9 people.
And the guides do the cooking?
Yes. Well, also sometimes the clients wants to do some cooking, so it's fine. And we try to have people be involved, but nobody is being forced. And I'm happy, Justin and I are happy to do all the cooking. And sometimes we go paddling and we come back and we have fresh cornbread or fresh fancy baked things that the skippers did for us. And it's really challenge by choice. It's your holiday. You pitch in as much as you want. And it's about having fun.
How many staterooms are on board? Like, are people sharing rooms, or what's the set up?
That's a very good question. So it depends how many couples we have versus single people. And then we try to, in the bow of the boat, there's 4 beds. And towards the back, we have 2 rooms with double bed. And also there's other beds in the living area. There's smaller beds as well. So there's more beds than people, and we don't want to have too many people. We could have 10 people, but it would become a bit cramped. We want to make sure people have enough room.
So if you've got 5 customers, 2 crew and 2 guides, you're 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a question regarding your thoughts on global warming and its change to Antarctica.
Well, it's kind of sad, I have to admit. It's nice to have a very warm day in Antarctica when it's plus 18 degrees Celsius, but it's not normal. And it's very nice to see lots of glacier calving. It's very spectacular, but the rate the glaciers are calving is not normal. It's very alarming. The glaciers are retreating to an alarming rate there. There's lots of studies being done, and also it does affect the penguin population and the water salinity, and there's many other things. It's the weather, the glacier are retreating. It's scary. If you look photos from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there's the Palmer Station. It's an American base, beautiful base there. And near the base is a glacier that is retreating like so quick. And we park in that bay during the night, and the glaciers kept calving on and on during the night, producing waves. I love to see glaciers calving. It's spectacular, but the rate is going, it's not normal. It's really, really, really bad.
Did you say, JF, that the trips were about 30 days? Was that right?
Yeah, some years would be like 30, sometimes 26. It depends. And also sometimes it would be an extra day because we are looking for a good window to cross Drake Passage on the way back, and want to make sure the clients have lots of paddling under their belt. It depends. The thing is, the price of everything is increasing all the time. And we try, over the years, we remove 1 day or 2 days so that we can keep the price consistent. We want to make it affordable for what you're getting. And so, yeah, it's going to be around 26 to 30 days. Again, if you go on a big cruise ship, you'll be paying over $1,000 per day. With that type of expedition is much, much less. You have a better value for your buck, more personal service, and a real adventure.
Well, I can feel the adventure, and I've just been looking at your pictures. So it must be something. Somebody's wanting to know, what do you look for besides, for people who may wish to come, besides that they have a level 3 or level 3 skills? What else are you looking for?
Also, we want to make sure people can play well in the sandbox. So basically, we're used to living in our large houses and lots of freedom. And on the boat, it's a smaller area. And we need to make sure we play very well in the sandbox with each other. A very minimum of good interpersonal skills would be very lovely. And also, if people are very, very sensitive to seasickness, it might not be the best trip for them. But if they're willing to go there and suffer during the crossings, is their decision. But seasickness it's a big thing.
Okay, well, I think that we've kind of run out a bit here of questions. So, wow. I mean, that's, you say you're going to do this every year as much?
Most years, sometimes Justin and I, we want to do lots of big trips, and
Yeah.
also some, like, if we decide to go around French Polynesia, it will interfere with the winter guiding. So we have to make choices.
Right.
We will see. We have lots of people interested. Or one requirement: people that can paddle at least 3 knots. Okay, that is very important. And sometimes we'll be doing like up to 20 nautical miles in one day. So we want good paddlers. We'll stop often for photos and enjoying the time, but sometimes it's time to paddle. The wind is picking up. There's some woolly wall coming. Let's go to the boat. Let's go to shore. No faffing, folks. So yeah, so people that can handle some good conditions, and yeah, it's such an amazing place.
Well, thank you so much for sharing it, JF. That was an amazing presentation. I sort of feel like I've been there. I'm starting to feel, I was thinking today was a bit chilly, but now I've changed my mind entirely. It's really not chilly at all here in Victoria, obviously. So you put things in context for us. Thank you for your information about SKILS and all the help that you've been. I know that you do support community and public and organizations like SISCA, and we do appreciate it. So thank you for that too.
We're all in it together, folks. So thank you for your support.
Yeah, great. Okay, and thank you everybody who joined in. We'll close the session down now, but I hope you've got a better understanding of SKILS, JF Marleau, and traveling to Antarctica and South Georgia. So maybe some of you will go and you will have your own pictures in the future. Anyway, thanks again, JF. Thanks for the presentation, and good night.
Thank you, folks.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah.